handled number, string, Boolean. We also have something called as undefined. Did I missed anything? Even though we have not handled big int, but there is a type called as big int. So apart from that, we have again here also few are under object types, non-primitive type. So we have arrays and we have objects, class and objects. Yeah. Well, I heard the last point as collection. Both arrays and objects considered as a collection of values. So not single value, we are going to collect n number of values. And what is the symbolic notation in JavaScript to define array and object?
In curly brackets.
Objects, curly brackets, arrays, square bracket. Don't forget this symbolic notation when you define. Both are considered as an object type only. When you use type of method, and if you try to find the type of both array, variable and object type, it will consider as an object type because all are reference type, memory address, referencing type. So whereas the symbolic representation to denote array and object is square bracket and this curly braces. So apart from that, any other point you want to add under array and object? Think and answer me. Recollect.
Collection of same
Arrays having same data type, homogeneous data type.
Homogeneous
Object.
and hetero. What else?
Object.
Key value pair objects.
Very good. Very good. So here, index methodology. Here it is.
Key value pair.
Key value pair. Key and value separated with colon. Can you recollect the last point? So more functionality on array and objects we are going to explore on today. An introduction to a new topic called as wrangling data. I'm sure the word is new to you. Let's explore on this word wrangling. Here I am. Yeah. Anywhere, if you feel any query, doubt, please clarify it. So we have this Fit app, fitness application. So this is activity intensity data in the form of tabular. So the data is represented in the form of table mechanics, whereas the other same data has been represented in the form of weekly targets. So here it is a plain row and column methodology, and here you will find these kind of weekly approach. I'm sure you came across with these kind of applications in your mobile. So on looking into this tabular column and this kind of mobile application, weekly targeted, weekly based target. So which form is more useful? Which form is interesting, appealing, and more useful? Left-hand side table or right-hand side? This weekly target.
Right-hand side.
Isn't it or not? Rather than the textual data, a diagram, a diagrammatic representation of the data reaches to us more. Let it be. My first slide. All of you agree that on looking into this, so on looking into this tabular column, we need some time to go through the first column against the second column value, and it will need some time to interpret what is happening. So when this is more intense. But whereas on looking into this weekly target, this application, can you able to quickly interpret when, on what day, how much has been achieved total? Do you find the difference? Guys,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
let it be an introduction to this graph. Traffic violation data in USA, a sample data. So these are the years and these are the violations. Number of violations, traffic violations happens with respective year. Let it be the data in the form of table, the data in the form of bar chart. Again, the same question. So which form of data will be more useful in terms of analysis?
Bar chart.
Right side one.
Right.
As I said in the previous slide itself, the diagram will reaches to us. You open any website or you open a newspaper. The amount, the time which takes to interpret the image and the image reaches to us is more faster than the textual reading happens. Let it be. So the graph representation, irrespective of any graph. So what is your quick understanding on seeing this bar chart? Immediately, within a fraction of second, we will come to a certain judgment that, have you noticed this? The maximum violation happens in the year 2013 and then 2012. The least happens in 2020 and 2021. So we can come to a conclusion in analysis stating that whatever the rules imposed in this 2020 and 2021, we need to continue the same. And we are all on the track. Whatever the rules, the regulations applied on the traffic, it's going good. We can continue the same. Can't we come to this derivation as soon as when we picturize the data in the form of graphical representation? Same thing you can come to with this table, but it takes time. So every day we are using this map application, Google's Find by Device application and map. How does the application translate the location of the phone to exact coordinate on the map? See, when it comes to us, when we are into this, any of the application, Google Map or Find by Device application, according to me, it will represent the place, the location, the place. Same thing is applicable for Google Map. But when it comes to Google Map application, have you noticed that degree value, latitude, longitude, with some 6 or 5 digit number with that degree notation?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is what the exact representation of that particular location for a map. So all the place has been located based on that latitude, longitude, or whatever the geographical representation. But when it comes to user, the user don't want to know that latitude, that number, 6 or 7 digit number. User wants to know the place. Are there conversion is happening? When you locate anything on a map, the map is getting converted, that notation to that latitude numbers to that respective area name. This translation of data is happening.
Yes, ma'am.
You got the point on this example?
Yes, ma'am.
So when I want to locate anything on a Google map, by that navigator, I will locate. The Google map will process based on that geographical point. But when it comes to the retrievation or display the display thing to the user, it converts that position, whatever, as I said, geographic, latitude, longitude, position to the place name. Along with that kilometer calculation, on the time calculation, all other thing. Conversion of data is happening. If you take, I can have this tabular representation. The same table has been converted in my mobile application in the form of this weekly basis, so that this will be more appealing and this will be more useful to the user. Same thing is happening. Whatever the data I have in a form of table, the same thing is converted into a graph. The graph would be useful for the customer, user, end user. So likewise, coordinates of the map will be converted to the respective location, the place name, which will be the useful for the end user. So if you look into all these, not only all these demos, examples, but in real world, every application you take according to the easy understanding of user. The data is converted from one form to another form. Some days back, I think I discussed with this Wave only about the most usage of YouTube. So if you take YouTube, what is their major income? What was the answer? How the revenue is generated by this YouTube or social networking application?
With the help of data.
Data, generating data. So let's assume there is a video. So the video is having some 2 million views, some 1 million likes, or 0.5 million likes. Can I do some 50K comments? Can I do anything with this direct data? With the user view, with users like, with users comment, can I do anything? Can I get the useful information from these data?
Yes.
All these are categorized as raw data. Am I making it sense? So let's assume there is a video and the video is having some number of views. Those views are called as raw data. Raw data can be of no use. What we need to do? We need to process the data and we need to convert to useful information. I'll tell you one more example. Let's assume we are running an electronic shop. So every day we are calculating sale record on everyday basis. Can I submit the sale record to everyday basis to my top management? Is any use on seeing this everyday sales? So how many refrigerator sale, how many whatever AC sale, how many this television sale, everyday basis. If I submit to top management or my business analytics team, will there be any useful? Can't they able to analyze those, let's assume some 10,000 sales record. Are you guys with me? Can you relate this example?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm much worried on your understanding, guys, because it's a real world. I think I can relate to my topic. That is what I'm trying. Shall I continue with this example? I'll take this and this, both example, to introduce the topic wrangling. All right, so let me call a person. Richa, you there? Richa?
Yes, ma'am.
So you tell me. So let's assume every day there were some 50 products. The company is, the electronic shop is selling, and monthly you calculate it. Some thousands of sales report. If I submit to my managerial level, top level management, will they able to do a business plan for next month? They can't do with the raw data.
Yes, ma'am.
So the sales data which I'm gonna to have everyday basis, the whole day I'm gonna to the whole month, every day record I'm gonna to keep it. If I submit to top management, nothing of use. So everyday sales data is something called as what? Raw data. Nothing can do with raw data. I want to process the data and I want to convert to useful information. So on having this everyday sales record, so let's assume I have 30 days sales record. So this is my raw data. So this raw data I want to process and I want to convert to useful information, stating that So let's assume this is July month. So in June month, last month, so AC sale, when it comes to, I will take both May month data and June month data. So let's assume there were some 1,200 and AC sale, and there were some 700 and TV sale. Here it is 1,500 and AC sale, and this television is some 500 sale. So I want to give some total record. So instead of giving all the sales record directly, I'm going to process, I'm going to give some. So in the month of May, total AC sale happened is 1,200. So in the month of June, total AC sale is 1,500. Whereas TV reduced from 700 to 500. So now tell me, what is the management plan for this, this business plan for my top management? They will be thinking AC sale is gradually increasing. So when
They will thinking for TV, ma'am.
Or some discount for TV.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good, Richa. So they may stop advertisement on AC because it is on gradual increasing, but it comes to TV sale, it is decreasing. So what they
Yes,
need to do? So quickly they will come to an analytics and they will trivial the idea, like they will give an advertisement for TV or some discount sale for TV, so that I can increase the TV sale.
Yes.
Guys, am I giving a meaningful picture on wrangling the data?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So I will be
Yes,
having the
ma'am.
data in one format. With one format, I may not, I cannot implement certain analysis on the data. So always it is required to convert one form of data into another form of data. So that process is called as wrangling. Converting the raw data into useful information. So that processing of data, converting one data format to another data format for my business purpose, for my understanding or the user understanding purpose, if I am converting, such kind of process is called as wrangling. Here I'm going to wrangle array data and object data, nothing new. I cannot use table data. JavaScript supports table. Have you ever came with the statement, this Java, other programming language and scripting language will support table format? A big no.
Ma'am, we
Don't compare with MySQL. We can display in table format. Can I store in rows and columns?
No.
Because the answer is in front of you. It supports only these data type. I can able to handle data in the form of either primitive type or object type. I cannot have any table type. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to handle array and object format according to my requirement. I need to convert the data. That process is called as wrangling. So what is happening in all these scenarios? So I am having the data. So according to the requirement of data, I am going to process the data. So I'm sure this slide is clear to you all. I may have a data in any raw format. So I need to process, I need to transform the data from one format to another format. Maybe the other format will be useful and it will give you an information in a clear manner. All right. So this process of converting one data format to another data format is called as wrangling. So let's get into the topic. Again, I'm repeating, we will not deal with table. We will not deal with graph because my JavaScript does not support the complex data type. To handle collection of data in my JavaScript is possible only with the help of arrays and object. So I am going to apply this wrangling for my arrays and objects. Only for these two complex type. So in this session, we are going to filter the data, transform the data, aggregate the data using all the array functions. The first topic deals with array and the second topic deals with object, modeling the data using array and object. So what is data wrangling? Listen carefully. Data wrangling is the process of transforming and mapping the data from one raw format into another raw format. According to the requirement of user, I will be having the data, converting the data from one format to another format. Sometimes it is also called as data mugging. So this is a wrangling process. So I will be converting my data, requirement of the users from one form to another form, I will transform. And I can view the record, and I can model the record according to the real world so that this will be understandable. And this data I'm going to communicate to the user, or I can communicate to my analytics team. Is that clear introduction? Shall we get into the topic?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, I'm telling, here we will not deal with table or any other. We will be dealing only with complex type array and object, because JavaScript does not support graph, table, something like that. Yes, someone called me.
Ma'am, can you explain one more time?
So let's assume I am dealing a data in my JavaScript. Let's assume an array format. I have a data in array format, but as per my application requirement, I want data in the form of key value pair. So that is in my object format. So converting one format of data. So let's assume I have student record in the form of array, but I want student record in the form of key value pair, JSON format. I want to convert the data because most of the data we are going to deal with internet. The information transport medium is your internet. So depend upon the language requirement, you need to convert one language type into another language type. I'm giving you one topic for self-reading. Are you guys reading this self-reading topic? Guys, are you reading? See, I don't want you to read, make a note, nothing. Everybody owns pocket internet. Whenever if you feel vague or when you find some time, if you open a mobile browser, just put this word. You will get a lot of content in various sites. You just read one paragraph, introduction paragraph. That is fine for me, and try to understand. I don't want you to take this topic written somewhere, take a notes, nothing. All these self-reading topic, I want to read and try to understand what is what. So today I'm giving you a topic called as JSON. Explore it. Yeah, so I am into JavaScript. I have my students record. So I am maintaining all my students record in the form of array. But I want to store my or I want to send my students record in the form of key value pair. What I need to do? Can I convert array to object directly? No. So I need to use the proper conversion function to convert one format of data into another format of data. That process is called as wrangling. Converting the raw data into useful information in real world term when it comes to JavaScript within the type, complex type, converting into one format to another format is called as wrangling. If you take student record in array format, I want to convert to object format. This is also called as wrangling in JavaScript. Kasinath, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the role of JavaScript in this process? Listen carefully. One second. Try to understand this diagram. I'll explain in detail. Let's assume we are into web application development where client will be requesting for any data. So let's assume I want to, I'm searching a job and I want to know whichever the company is having this opening, career opening in their organization. So I am into Naukri or Monster and I am searching for the job. This is the client request. It needs to go to server and server will respond. So when it comes to respond, the server might be storing the data in one format. Listen carefully. The client is requesting for the data. It goes to server. Server is holding the data in certain format. And this format I cannot able to view in my client browser directly. So what I have to do, whatever the server is giving the data. So my JavaScript needs to fetch the information from the server and it needs to transform the data. Let's assume this was the data. And this data, my JavaScript needs to transform. And this transformed data will be rendered on my web browser. Same thing is applicable for the request also. Client will give you the data in certain format. So this data I cannot send to server directly. So I need to apply something called as transfer process. So whatever the client provided format of data, I'm transferring and I'm sending to my server. This is also a kind of wrangling. So my JavaScript interact with server and it will fetch the data and it will do wrangling process. Also my JavaScript will interact because it serves both client-side scripting and server-side scripting code. Because my server may give the data in one format, but the requirement of client is different format. So always we need wrangling process. What? The differentiate between the data structures of client and server. So my JavaScript needs to understand what is the format my server is providing and what was the format I want to send to the client. Wait. Let me put it to a real world example. Can I take a Swiggy application or you take anything? Amazon, Redbus, what else? Book My Show, Make My Trip. Please pay attention. So let's assume we are planning a trip on next month. So we want to book a hotel. So we are opening Make My Trip. Assume like Make My Trip is an application which has been developed with the help of Java framework. So let's assume it is developed based on JSP technology. Guys, are you with me? Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, whatever the thing you are viewing, source, destination, date, everything in the form of JSP coding. Okay. And the number of persons and totally you are getting some 24,000 amount. So you need to pay 24,000 or 24,000 amount to confirm your trip. So have you noticed, irrespective if you are in Amazon, Swiggy application or Make My Trip, when it comes to payment, it will go to third-party payment site. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Because this banking application, we cannot give those banking data to all the application whomsoever doing these payment. How we have the CMS, where to deposit all the money in everywhere. Likewise, this payment application alone, it will not be an it will not be a module which is embedded with all the application. It is a separate web service. Can you relate? So let's assume I have chosen my source, destination, all my data I have submitted. Totally, I got 24,000 I need to pay. You are in makemytrip.com. So whereas when I want to go to payment, it is going to third-party site. Assume like this third-party site is developed with ASP.NET. So whatever the coding you are did in this MakeMyTrip, everything in JSP. Whereas whatever the payment whereas in payment you need to supply all your banking information. So you need to give your account number, and you need to give all your debit card detail or credit card detail, of your secure PIN number. And even if it is required, you need to give OTP. Assume like all these are developed with ASP.NET. Anyway, I need to communicate this JSP technology with ASP technology. Can I able to communicate directly? This 24,000 rupees amount for this particular customer ID. Because customer ID is also important. I'm sure you people came across on JDBC, you may aware why I mentioned customer ID. Can you relate? That is how the data will be fetched, stored in the database. So for this particular customer ID, 24,000 amount to be paid. This 24,000 needs to pass from JSP to ASP. Do we have any coding relation between JSP and ASP? Not at all. This is in Java environment and this is in .NET Framework environment. How I can able to transfer the data? And I can send to this payment, and the payment will move, and the payment needs to give a confirmation. Once if it is giving confirmation only, your MakeMyTrip or this trip will get confirmed. How the data is getting passed from one technology to another technology. Here comes what process? Can you relate the topic, what we are discussing today with this example?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to do the process of wrangling. I want to convert whatever the JSP technology code, this 24,000, to my ASP. There is no conversion between JSP to ASP. What we can do? This amount. Let's assume here we have an integer for int format. So this will be converted into any of the format. Let's assume JavaScript format or JSON format. Here it may handle as a numbers. And this again will be converted to ASP.NET format. Let's assume here it is an integer. I cannot convert JSP to ASP directly. Instead, my JSP will be put into a JavaScript, and JavaScript will convert that to ASP understanding format. And this process is called as wrangling. That is what they have specified in this diagram. This format will not be understood by my browser, or my browser cannot able to render this format. So what I'm doing, I'm using JavaScript code. I'm doing the process called as wrangling to convert this format to this particular format where my browser can able to understand. Same thing, here it is a data flow. So that is what I told you, explore on the term JSON, Internet Information Format, conversion of one technology to another technology format when it comes to internet. Shall I continue with next? Here we are using the JavaScript code to convert one format to another format. So guys, please confirm. Shall I continue with next?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So how does JavaScript interpret the data? So let's assume I have this data. I have it in Excel format or MySQL format or any format, table format is there. Can JavaScript understand table structure? I already said, discussed the answer with you all.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
JavaScript will not understand table because JavaScript does not have this data type. It supports only array and objects. So you need to convert. So JavaScript does not understand table. JavaScript will understand only its respective type. So, but I have a data in the form of table. So how we can convert? Can I convert this to number type or string type? Tell me, if I want to convert this table in JavaScript, how? Which data type you can use to convert?
Array.
Object.
Answer me.
Object.
Object. Because it's a mixed type. So I am having key value pair. Under car color, I have blue. So I have 5 records. So 5 objects. Each object will have key value pair. The first object will be having, guys, please relate. Let's assume cars. So under cars, we have first object. Let's assume C1. In C1, further we have car color. Have this practice by using double quotes for your key. Car color, colon, blue. What is that? Car make. And please use this lower camel keys. Double quotes. And if it is a variable, use lower camel case. Eagle. Car model. Talon TSI. Likewise, you will be having C2. Can you relate? Likewise, you will be having 5 cars. You can handle this table structure in the form of
Key value pairs.
key value pair objects. So blue, eagle, talon, this row will be one object, first row. This row referring with another object called as C1. And second row will be C2 again. In order to represent red, always I'll be using key. So if I print console.log, for example, cars.c1.car make, what would be my output?
Eagle.
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 So this is what we are going to explore today. And according to my requirement, I can convert. I cannot handle table structure in JavaScript. I have to use either, depend upon the requirement. Can I have array of object of array? Yeah, that and all possible. We will discuss that. But can you relate this table with this object type?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Proper syntax with all the rules and regulation we will apply. But this is just my mapping. So I will be handling this table via object. If I handle like an object, I used to do like this. That is why we are using key value pair. Yeah, as I told, we will start with arrays first and then we will get into objects. It's a big session. So please pay attention and have an interest on this topic. Don't feel vague, bored. A lot more are there. All right, few are familiar to you. Quickly, I'll take that and we will have this new topic, which is array functions. So all of us know, in order to handle many data, large amount of data of same data type, we will be using arrays. And arrays is sequential, one after another storage of data. Always we will be representing array in the form of index. even though we call it as an array, but in JavaScript, not even JavaScript, in Java also array will be considered as an object type. You remember? Int, whatever the type, we will be handling with new keyword. Can you relate? So that is why it has been. So if you take Java language, you remember int marks is equal to new int of 10. You remember this syntax? It's an array.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll
Very
call it
clear,
as
sir.
reference type. My marks comes under the category object. Same thing they are representing here. Even though it is an array, we can call it as an object, but all the rules of array is applicable. So I'm sure all of you can recollect what is an array, how the elements are getting stored in an array. What do you mean by the term index? How I can able to fetch each element? What was the first index? Always index starts from 0 to total element minus 1. Can I have mixed type in array? Big no. I can have only same type of data. So length is fixed. So how array differs with other language? You can compare with Java. That alone we can discuss. Please listen carefully. This is just an introduction to array. The theory part remains same, introduction part. But how this JavaScript array differs with other programming language, especially C++ and Java language. Let's discuss. So point number 1, empty array can be created in JavaScript. Can I create an empty array in Java?
No.
Have you ever
No, ma'am.
experienced? But here we can able to create an empty array. Array in JavaScript are not of fixed length. It is dynamically growable array. And dynamic typing in JavaScript helps to create heterogeneous also. I don't want to specify the type. So possibilities are there. I can have mixed type of values in my array. So this is how it differs. Point number 1, I can create an empty array. So what do you mean by empty array? Can anyone tell me the syntax? Let marks is equal to, what is this?
Empty
Can I
array.
go for where marks is equal to? This is an empty array. My machine will consider marks as an array, but without any value. And I can have an empty array. Later, I can add values. This is just a combination of array and array list. So you will come to know.
Ma'am, ma'am, what you showed just now, is this possible only because in JavaScript array is dynamically growable?
So as I said some time back, we have some methods. We will explore those methods. Even I can have, this is also possible. I can create an empty array. Later I can add a value. So it is dynamically growable. There is no fixed size. Why it is not fixed size? You give me the answer for second point. Did I
Because we
declared array with whatever, with size? Even though syntax is also valid, but it is not required. So in this case, I am allocating 10 memory. So I can able to add only 10 values. Here I'm not providing new keyword and allocating the memory. So it is dynamically growable. And the data type also I'm not specifying. So I can have mixed type also. I'll show you an example. Is that clear? These 3 points, and whatever the points we discussed, we will have this demo in the next slide. One second. I'll come to this. Oh my God, there should be one slide, do's and don'ts. Yeah, slide number 19. So if you create an array with this syntax, all are valid. All are valid, but don't go for first 2 type. Go for the last type. Again, I'm repeating, all these three syntax are valid. Why they put cross mark is it is not recommended in JavaScript. Can you see the first type? Let cars. Let, you can use it as a variable. With or without let also it is valid. Cars is an array name. When you see the keyword new, no data type, you can use the keyword array. So I'm giving 3 cars name, Ford, Nissan, Tata. You take a snap of this and try. It is also valid syntax. And I'm allocating the memory for 3 values. This is also valid. Without new keyword, without array keyword, if you are going for square bracket, this is a recommended in JavaScript. Is that clear, guys? So from starting from first demo, you go for the last type. Use simply square bracket. This is what recommended in JavaScript. But you can try all the 3.
And all 3 are correct.
All 3 are correct actually. They put crossed because don't use this type of format. I'll show you if you want. What is that? New array of 10, 20, 30. I will use. No syntax error. Can you see the output? Whatever the syntax, those 3 syntax are valid, but JavaScript, you prefer the last one. Story over. That's all. Let's go to the next one. You try. That's what I'm telling. Take a snap of this. You try, and you can try with for loop. One second. So since it supports heterogeneous data, anyway, all the data which is in front of you in the form of, what is that? String type, we can handle it. So let us store the value in a below table in an array. Is it possible to store the data in the form of array?
Yes, ma'am, in the form of key value pair.
Other than, okay. Okay, leave a car color, car make, and car model. You leave this column name. You take only the data. So this data, can I store it in an array?
Yes, ma'am.
what concept we can use? Can I store it? I
Object
cannot
array.
use the word single dimensional array of arrays, but I can use the word array of arrays. One array will be holding 3 arrays. Oh no, 5 arrays if it is row basis. So I want to store 5 different car details. So my first array will be holding first car, second car, third, fourth, fifth, and all the 5 array, I can store it in my one more array of arrays. Okay, so I'll come to array of arrays. So before that, let's deal with simple array functionalities and their function. I'll come to this example, but before that, we will deal with simple example. I'll come to that example. So before that, let's take without arrays of arrays, let's deal with simple arrays, and we will do few of the methods. So these are the methods supported, or I can say array operations. So whatever the thing which you are in front of you in second column, all are methods. So each method does certain operation, starting from the first method, traversal. So I can use direct for loop for regular for loop, or I can use this for each. For each is there, a slight syntax difference will be there. I can able to add an element in my array, either by using push method or unshift method. So aware of this term, these methods are new to us. So this unshift, don't confuse with unshift and shift. Unshift is used for insertion, whereas shift is used for removal. Pop is also used for removal. Splice, something called as slicing and splitting, combination of that. So please aware of this. To traverse, I can use for each. For insertion, I can use push and unshift. For removal, I can use pop, shift and splice. For transformation, I can use map, filter and slice. For searching, I can use find and index of. For aggregation, for sum, difference, for multiplication, I can use reduce function. So we will quickly go with the first 3 operation. Later we will go on to the last 3 operation. Shall I continue with this marks? In order to insert, what are all the methods available?
Push and unshift.
So this push is not new us. You can relate with earlier. Same, few remain same, but few are new. So always when I add push will add items at the end. It will append the items at the end. It will insert at the end. Whereas if I want to insert in the beginning, for that I need to use unshift. So push, so what it does, push will append at the end. Append itself, it's at the end. Unshift, add item in the beginning. Okay. Can you relate with the output? So I have an array with 10, 20, 30. And so later I am appending 40 and 50, whereas 5 I'm using unshift. What will happen if I again give unshift of 1?
1 will get
One is first.
starting.
Similar operation. So marks dot pop. Do I want to pass any parameter for pop?
Index of or
No, we don't have that. You check that. Even I tried, it didn't work. So whenever if you are inserting an item, you need to add, you need to call the respective method and you need to pass. But when it comes to deletion, you need to pass, you don't need to pass any value because automatically it is going to delete. So push will append at the end, pop will remove at the end, remove the end item. Whereas shift will remove the starting index item.
And is there any way to add and remove between?
Yes, yes. Yes, we will do that.
Ma'am, for duplication.
It allows. It allows. It allows duplicates. So what was the question? Removing in between. I'll give a try. So this simple push and pop will add and remove at the end. Shift and unshift will add and remove at the beginning. So what we can do is, what was the third method? Splice on this. Whatever the requirement of you, it will get satisfied. So marks dot splice. It's a zero-based location in an array from which to start. It will remove the item, not only one item. So based on the index I have provided in the method, for example, start index to end index. Splice. How many items are there? As of now, as per 23rd line, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 index. So let's assume I want to remove from second index to third index. Wait. Splice is not, one second. I think it's the replacement. All right, let me give a try. So guys, what is your requirement? If you want to add an item, let's assume I have 10, 20, 30. In between 20 and 30, I want to add some one item or two item. Let's assume I want to add 25. Or I want to remove 20 and 30. Everything is possible with the help of splice. Are you with me?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if I want to add both, if I want to add some group of elements, some 3 element or 4 element, if I want to remove some set of element in the position based, so with the help of index based, let's assume I want to remove 20, 30 and 30. Instead of 20, 30 and 30, I want to add it as 200, 300 and 300. Everything is possible with the help of splice. So I will try few and remaining you can try. So initially I'm starting from removing second index to third index. Simply if I provide 2, 4, so it starts from second index, whether it will go till fourth index or it stops till third index. Think and answer me. The question is for all. You can relate substring.
It will go till third index.
Yes, it will not take fourth index. Do you remember this type of index logic when we discussed the same in JavaScript?
Yes, ma'am.
The topic has been discussed in substring, I think. Always it takes beginning index.
Yes, ma'am.
It will not take end index. It will take end index -1. So I'll give a try. After splice, second and third index, or I can give mixed value. Whether it is working or it is taking third also.
You have just removed it. Or like we need to we can pass the third parameter to just.
That also we can append also. We can add items.
Just using the third parameter in the say 2,4 after one.
No. It is not 2,4. It is taking from second index 4 items gets removed. 20, 30, 30, and 20. Yeah. Please look into the syntax. Please look into the syntax. Splice is working in so many ways. What was the syntax? Look into the IntelliSense and tell me. Splice, what was the first parameter in splice?
Starting
Index. Followed with comma.
ending index.
It's not ending index.
Number of elements.
Number of
deleted.
element count.
No. Start colon number is nothing but it's an index number. I'm asking you what was there after comma.
Delete count. Delete count.
Number of items I want to delete. Have you noticed delete count?
Yes, ma'am.
It is deleting. If I give 2,4 from second index, it is deleting how many values?
4 elements.
4 values. Yes, sir. This splice will do so many operations. So I have these many number of values. So after splicing, not second and third index, from second index to 4 values got deleted. It does so many operations. So from second index 0, 1, 2. So second index is 20, 30, 30, 20. 4 consecutive values are deleted from my array. Is that clear? Shall I continue with more splice operation?
Ma'am, only two second number is deleted, only 2,1 is given.
You cannot give. Okay, we'll try. 2,1 or 2,0. 2,1.
Yes, ma'am.
So if I want to remove second item.
Yeah.
Okay, let me add items. So let it be at last I'm getting 5, 10, 30, 30, 20, 20. Leave. Just guess the output. So I'm trying splice. Let's assume 1, 0, 11 and 22. Any random guesses? Let's try this. After splice, from first index to two values got added. You can give a try. So what will happen? It will go to where it will go? It will go to
First index.
first index. After first index, in the respective position, it will add 11 and 22. So I will be having 0th index and first index. After first index, starting from there, 11 and 22 will be added. From that position, 2 items got added. Because I cannot give index over here, then it comes to replacement. If I give 2, it will replace. If I give 3, 2 items will be deleted and 2 items will be added. I don't want to have removal. I just want to add. Instead of 0, if I give 10, 30 will be removed. In the place of 10 and 30, what will be added? 11 and 22 will be added. Okay, you observe what is happening in this, then I'll do modification. So 2, 1 in line number 24 in second index. After second index, So second index, one item will be removed. So 0, 1, 2. So second index, one item will be removed. So 20 got removed in line number 24. If I give 2, 2, so from second index and third index got removed. Delete count. What is happening in line number 26? In first index, without removal, I want to add 11 and 22. 1, 0 means no items gets removed. From first index, I want to add item. What will happen if I give 2 here?
After second index, one item. After first index, 2 item will be removed.
Let's check. Earlier, so it will go to first index 10. From its 0th position, no items got removed, 11 and 22 got added. So when I give 1, 2, can you see the change? So first index and second index, these two are removed, and instead of that 11 and 22 got added. Without removal, if I want to add, go for 0th count. Okay, I'll show you the syntax. So there is no delete count. I am not specifying delete count if it is 0. If I specify 2, 2 will be deleted and 2 will get added. So without deletion, if I want to add, go for 0. So with splice, adding is possible. Deletion is possible. Deletion as well as adding is also possible. 1, 0 is different from 1, 2. 1 always represents index. 0, the second parameter represents delete count. And the next parameter represents your items. Shall I continue with next method?
Yes, ma'am.
Please pay attention. I'll finish few methods and I'll give you a time you can practice it on before moving to the next topic. That's what I'm telling. Always, this is not end index. Always the second parameter is delete count. The first parameter is starting index. Second parameter is delete count. The third are values. You can give as much number of values. It will be added. If you don't specify any value, nothing will be added. Only the deletion will perform. See here, as many number of items you can add. Okay. So before moving to map, filter, slice, this reduce, even for each, let me give you one topic. Please look into this operations and look into this. Okay. So what is this for each does? So we came across on inline function. What is that recursive function? In future, we will touch on callback function. So we are with functions. So the topic which I want to discuss before moving to the next operation, which is for each map filter slice is, here is my notes. So we were aware of, please pay attention, functions. When I mention the word function, what are all the things comes into your mind? Few technical term, starting from
Function parameters,
function parameters,
Return type.
return type,
or we call it as function arguments, args, return type, and then the most important thing is
Name.
no. Yeah, function name, function type, parameters, that's fine. What is one more thing?
Logic.
Element.
Logic.
Yeah, logic, block of function. After defining the function, what we will do?
All.
Function call. When it comes to function call, let's assume I am defining a function. I will be calling a function. You remember the syntax? So function definition and function call. Always function will be called with open close parenthesis. Instead, today we are gonna to deal with function without this parenthesis. Instead, today we are gonna to discuss for few built-in, listen carefully, built-in functions, user defined function is going to pass as a parameter. I am gonna to pass this function 1 as a parameter without this open close. So whatever I mentioned, for few built-in functions, best example is for each, map, filter, slice, find. We are gonna to pass parameter. I am not gonna to pass 10, 20 or array name or variable name as a parameter. For those functions, what I'm gonna to pass as a parameter? One more function I'm gonna to pass as a parameter. That function will be a user defined function. So then speciality is without open close parenthesis. Maybe this is new to us. So let's discuss for each. You got the idea behind it? For these built-in function, I am gonna to pass user defined function as a parameter. We used to pass, for example, 100. You got the point?
yes,
So we will pass fun1 here. Fun1 of, let's assume hello. So I always used to pass primitive type or any type, non-primitive, complex type as a parameter. Instead, I'm gonna to pass this function as a parameter to another built-in function. Maybe this is new to all, but in JavaScript, we will be dealing with these kind of functionality in many. I'll show you an example. Listen, I'll show you with simple example. So let's assume I'm defining a function. So let it be fun1. So fun1, I'm gonna to pass. So let me, okay, I'll give document.write. Even if I want to pass index, I can pass. So let's assume I have a function, user defined function, let it be fun1. And fun1 will be taking two things. One is index, the other one is value. The thing is, since we are dealing with an array, what I thought is let's have an array. We will print an index separately and its corresponding value separate. And I'm sure this is not new to us. All of you, any doubt with this function definition?
No, ma'am.
Nothing big. I have
No, ma'am.
defined a function with two parameters, and according to my requirement, I customized the printable statement. But how I'm going to call this function, that matters. So this type of function I can use along with my for each, whereas always for each will be used when we are using for each for my array. So by default, it takes two parameters. One is my index and value. So what was the topic for our discussion? Array operation. So that two array methods we are going to discuss. We started with push, pop, and shift. So now I'm going to use, what was my array? My array is marks. So for this marks, I'm going to call for each. And technically, it's a callback function where I am going to pass my function as a parameter. So for each, and this for each is taking my function 1 as a parameter. Line number 33 is a very good example for my callback function. The function is going to pass, the user defined function is going to pass parameter. Do we call the function with open close? Nothing. So this type of functionality is called as callback function. We will be using it with a lot of built-in methods of array. Okay, I'll repeat. So by using my array, I can call for each. So if I call for each and I can pass my callback fun1 as an example. So by default, this fun1 is applied for my marks. So what this mark will do? So this mark will be holding the index as well as the value. Okay, let me save and I'll refresh. I think I swapped. The first parameter is value and the second parameter is index. Take time. Output is not a very big deal. Idea behind the concept is introduction to array for each method along with user defined callback function, which is fun1. So this for each always will pass value and index. Please, the order is initially it will pass value, then it will pass index. Take time, analyze.
Ma'am,
Always,
ma'am, if
Next.
we are using for each with an array, that means it will pass always value and index.
That was the order. When I did vice versa, it gave me the incorrect output. Okay, I'll explain. So what this normally for and for each will do? Let's assume I have an array of how many elements? 1, 2, 3, some 8 elements. So what does our for and for each will do? In general, what does our for loop will do when it comes to any constraint? Traverse all. Likewise, so let's assume I have an array of these are the values. So this is my mark array and my mark is having some 8 values. What my for each will do is you can relate with this what is this arrow function, whatever you can relate. So this mark dot for each. So regularly this for each will traverse with all the values in my iterable collection. So when I use marks dot for each, it starts from 5. So 5 dot for each of fun1. always this for each callback will take 2 parameters. I keep my mouse cursor on my callback function. Have you noticed the order?
Value and index.
So always it will take value first and then index. Initially I did index and value. No, it takes element first and then index. So for the first time, if I call line number 33, if it is called, it pass 5 and 0. That I am printing on line number 30. And again, second time it will call 11. Then it calls 22. And then it calls respective all 8 values, all 7 index values starting from 0. So the first, it takes so many parameters. The first parameter for each is taking the first parameter as my callback function. And this callback function always it holds. For each, it holds 2 parameters. The first parameter is your item, the actual element value. And the second parameter is index. And even you can ask me, some things are optional. You find it out. I will remove this and I'll try to print the value. Whereas the first parameter is optional.
Ma'am, what was the issue that you faced when you interchange, means you added index first and then the value?
It will be shuffled, no, it will take 5, 11, 22 as a key. And nothing is there, so it is taking 0 because all are object type. Leave that. I misplaced the order. So you go for the proper order. So since it is referenced type, it is taking 0 in all the value and remaining things are taken as a index. Instead of 0, can I give 5 index or 101 index? That is also possible. So by machine automatically takes these values as a key because I swapped. So values are taken as 0 because it is reference type. Even though I not placed, it will take 0. Leave that, Harshit. So always it takes value first.
Okay, ma'am.
Index is also optional. If without index also, I can able to print.
Ma'am, can we print only index?
No, see, printing part, you customize it. But the order of parameter is my callback function in my for each, always it should takes value.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then it will take index. Let's assume instead of index, even I can give I. If you want to print only index, you don't print value. Okay, I will introduce one more method, Alo. Then you might be familiar with this callback. Okay, you tell me, shall I try map or filter? You decide. Okay, let me call Abhilash, you there? I will try one more function before break so that no, you will familiar with callback. Abhilash, you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So can I try map or can I try filter?
Filter.
So what does filter does from name onwards? Come on, guys.
Sorting type.
Filter. No, repeat. What did you say?
I think some functions like sorting.
Not sorting.
Filters an element based on a condition.
Filtering the item, truncating the element based on the condition. If the condition serves, the item will be there. If the condition not serves, the item will not be there. So here also you have to apply callback function. But when you are applying a callback function, this filter needs to return either true or false. You got the point. So for each callback function needs to take this order, value followed with index, followed with copy array. Likewise, so let us try a demo for filter. For filter also, okay, listen, marks dot, what is a function name? Filter, and filter also will call callback function. So can I give function 2? I don't want to give open close. So not required. That is the speciality of callback. I don't want to give this open close. Simply you give function name. But what is the condition for this function 2? It should return Boolean value, either true or false. Return is mandatory. So let's assume, so whatever the number I am providing, let's assume x modulo 10 equal to 0. What is the idea behind this function? I'm done. You interpret and tell me.
Numbers divisible by 10.
So I am gonna to apply this filter function, callback function to my marks. And these are the marks value. By the way, these are the marks value. So it will take the first mark. So marks dot filter. So it will traverse all the value. It will take first mark and it will apply to filter callback function fun2. This 5 will be applied to here. So by default, according to the condition, or else it will throw an error. Always this filter function, callback filter function needs to return true or false. So you can go for if and else, or you can go for simply return. You decide, depend upon your requirement. So I will apply, it will take first element. So 5 modulo 10. So I'm checking the number is divisible by 10 or not. If it is divisible by 10, it returns true. What would be the output for 5, true or false?
False.
False. For 11?
False.
So for 5, 11, 22, it is false. For 10, 30, 30, 20, remaining 5 elements, it's true. Whichever the callback function, it returns true, that element alone will be stored. I want to store. Can I use marks 1? Because I want to store. Anyway, it will not change the source array. So whichever the element callback function is returning true, that alone will be stored in a new array marks 1. By the way, marks 1 is also an array because the right hand side is holding an array function. After applying filter. So what would be the output of marks? So let it be marks. Applied filter for marks 1. Can we check the output? I'm sure after this demo, you will be much familiar with callback.
Line 40 marks, not marks.
Yeah. So these are my marks value. So for this mark value, I am applying a filter for callback function based on the resultant of callback function. The marks get filtered. So you have to write in such a way based on the requirement of your built-in function, you have to define your callback function. Wait, instead of x modulo 10, let me return x into x. Nothing will be applied. It's not resultant as error also. It's fine. So what is happening if I give x into x? Nothing is happening.
Not returning any
So
Boolean value.
You have to return Boolean value from your callback function of filter. Whereas if it is for each, according to the requirement, you can print. This is how it takes. And by the way, it is less error prone. If it is valid, you will get the output. If it is not valid, it will not. Okay, I'll do the last method, which is easier method, which is map. The speciality of map is, so filter as name implicits, it filters and the function needs to return Boolean. So map is also a callback. You need to pass a callback function. The speciality of map is map also will traverse with all the values in an array. So based on the callback definition, the values gets updated. So mostly if I want to traverse with all the value in an array, we will use map. Even if you want to go for any updation, you can proceed. So I'll copy paste it. Now I'm giving 3. So let me give a square root. Guys, listen, I'm giving mark 2 instead of filter. Let me apply map function. Function 3. Applying map. Mark 2. So filter, I am filtering the value based on the Boolean condition gets served. Whereas the speciality of map is by default, if I want to traverse with all the values in an array, and if I want to do any operation, I can use map. So as per the definition of my callback, it will traverse with all the value, and every time when it traverses, it is returning back the square value of the number.
Can you tell the difference between filter and map?
Sorry? Filter and the map difference.
Yes, ma'am.
So filter will truncate the count. So out of how many values? 8 values, I'm getting 5 as an output. Why? Why 3 is not coming?
And because we have given some condition.
My filter condition not gets matched by these elements. Whereas map is not like that. Map will not truncate the value. If I give 8 values, it will give all the 8 values as an output based on the body definition. That is the difference between map and filter. So mostly in filter, we will give Boolean result. Whereas in map, according to the requirement, you will do operations with the value and you will return. But mostly map is used to traverse. When it comes to chaining function, I want to traverse with all the value. Then you apply map. And if you want to even change any values, or you want to change the key, you want to give a new name for your key, new key name, then you can go for map. Okay, I'll complete. I'm telling every time to complete. I'll complete one last method, simple method. What do you mean by the word slicing in general?
Cutting into pieces.
Splitting, correct. So likewise, see, you take the topic. This traversal, insertion, removal. What was the topic we are discussing here? Transformation. So my array values, my given array values will be transformed to some set of values, filtered to some set of values, sliced to some set of values, transforming my source to other thing based on the requirement. I'll make it simple. And by the way, there were 8 values in my marks, and these are the values. So my marks is holding this many values. Guys, listen, let's assume mark 3 is equal to marks dot slice. Oh my God, slice. So there is no callback function, I think. Can you see the parameters? I think whatever the explanation I gave some time back for splicing, this is applicable for slicing. Can you look into this starting index and ending index? So end index, I think it will not take. So let's try. So I will give start index as 3 and end index as 5. So by the way, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry. I will put index also for your reference. So this will take 0 index, first index, second index, third index, fourth index, fifth index, 6th, and 7. What would be the output?
Ma'am, it will 3
Let's
and
try.
4 will be removed.
3 and 4 will be removed as per our learning. Not removing, it is taking only 3 to 5. 8.
And but splice adds and slice cuts it, I guess.
Slicing and it is taking. So it methods return only the selected element. Now it will be meaningful. So guys, I'm done. Please look into the last method, slice. Whatever the rule we discussed sometime back for beginning index and end index, this is applicable. So if I give 3 and 4, where it will start? It starts with
3.
Third index. And
4th index.
will it take 5th index?
No, 4th index.
No.
So when it comes to index number, so always when there is a situation where you have to provide beginning index and end index, nowhere it will take end index. Always it takes end index -1. Whereas the topics which we discussed above for splices, it is taking starting index. And what was the second parameter?
Delete.
What was the second parameter?
Count.
Delete count. Here it is count, the number. Whereas here it is, when you look into the slice, it is taking starting index and ending index. Nowhere it takes starting and index. Always it takes end -1. So it will take only 3 and 4. What was there in 3 and 4? The answer is in front of you. It splits. It returns only the selected index. I provided only 3,5, so it takes only 3 and 4 and it stores in marks 3. It is not deletion. Come on guys, it is transformation function. So it transforms all the 8 values and it transforms and we are getting only 3 based on our requirement. So I want all of you to try with your own demos on only the first 4 operations: traversal, insertion, removal, and transformation, search, aggregation, and this array of array we will discuss after a break. Will it be okay? I will share my notes and this demo. Try the 4 operation and then we will try the last 2 operation after some half an hour. Based on your completion. Yes, tell me.
So, ma'am, you have declared the marks 1 and marks 2 variable as an array. You haven't declared it in here and it's still taking it just good.
Why mark 2 and mark 3 will be considered as an array?
Yes,
and where will be the memory address? What would be the memory address of mark 2, 3? The answer is in front of you.
So we don't always have to declare it as an array. The program will do that for us.
Wait, we have a very big explanation for that. I thought you know that explanation. So we have something called as primitive type and non-primitive type, especially object type and reference.
Correct.
Let's assume A is equal to 10, 20, 30. B is equal to A. What will happen?
It will automatically declare it as an array. Okay.
Is this point you cannot recollect? This is applicable everywhere, either in Java or JavaScript. From the beginning, we were discussing on the topic reference type. When it comes to reference, look into line number 60. So whether B will take 10, 20, 30? Of course, it will take indirectly via memory address reference. So assume like A 10, 20, 30 is in the memory address 1001, 1005, 1009. So A is holding these 3 memory address. This memory address is shared by B. So since we are sharing the same address, the values are taken.
So
Okay,
it's
I'll-
unique for JavaScript or it will work for Java also?
Because we are discussing on reference. This is applicable for Java also. We tried a demo, no, pass by value and pass by reference with array when we are in array topic. All right, since the discussion is here, let's try. Guys, are you there with this topic? Shall we continue with this pass by? Are feeling tired? You need break? Come on. I'll complete this alone. This question was how B is taking as an array. I'm sure these are all familiar to you. Both and A, B will take 10, 20, 30. I will show you a shocking output. Whether it takes index, I'll give a try. The answer is in front of you. I have changed only B first index as 200, but it is automatically changing in because of
both are share same memory address.
Correct. That's what. When I give B is equal to A, it is not like that B is holding 10, 20, 30. B is holding the address of A. Always array and object will take the reference, not the value type. No, it is address type, reference type. So since it is sharing the same address, B is also taking 10, 20, 30. If you look into line number 20, I am changing only B value. But if I print A value, both, so look into line number 22 and 23. So in A also it has been updated as 10, 200 and 30, even though I changed B. Why? Because
they are same
Reference
address.
location.
same memory
with the
address.
same
When
memory.
I give B of 1 is equal to 200, it is taking 1005 memory. It is updating the value as 200. Whereas the 1005 is shared by both A and B. So that is the reason both in A and B, the value is getting updated as 200. So same is applicable for whatever I have tried here. Mark 1, Mark 2. Don't take it is taking the value. It is taking the same memory address. Since the memory address is holding the same set of values, it is taking a copy. Even though the memory, even though we have 8 values and later 5 values, it is sharing same address of those 5. Is that clear? Shubham Alam, always this reference type will take address. Shubham?
So if we filter it, will it change the
Find it
original
out.
value as well?
Find it out. That is what my question. I have 8 values here. If I apply 5, how it is taking the values? Whether it is taking the same reference, you apply this to printable statement and try to find how to find the address of the respective memory address and try to print these memory address and check whether both are same.
Okay, ma'am, will do.
Try. Let's give a try. It's all right. I know it's 11:25. I'm giving you 10 minutes break. You take 10 minutes break, come back at 11:35 and continue practicing. Hasib, you there?
Yes, Sangeeta, I'm here.
I'm messaging you. So let them take a break of 10 minutes around 11:35 or 11:40. Let them practice with their own inputs. Don't copy paste my demo. Use that as a reference.
Please confirm, guys, that you are back from break. Whoever come back from the break, please start practicing as per the notes given by Sangeeta ma'am in the mentor note. Yeah, I'm in the session only actually. No, not taking, but yeah, we can now. 1 second. 1 second. Yes, everyone have come back. Yeah, please continue practicing. Whatever you have learned in morning session as a concept, yeah, please practicing on that, on the same, by using the notes and the demo code, which has been shared by Sangeeta ma'am. Okay, only Ashmita, apart from Ashmita, all have joined back. Ashmita, are you there? Okay. Ashmita, please join as soon as possible. It's okay with all of you guys. Can you practice the code? No problem.
Yes, sir. No problem, sir.
Okay. Fine, fine. Okay, okay. Carry on. All of you are practicing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.